Former South Suburban school lunch lady is now facing criminal charges accused of stealing more than $1 million worth of chicken wings.
Every once in a while, you see a story or the opening to a news segment, and you just hope. You cross your fingers, you pray to God, even if you're non-religious, that the promise of the premise is fulfilled. And for me, this story is definitely one of them. $1.5 million stolen in chicken wings? You can't beat a story like that. Now, I don't know about you guys out there on the internet.com, but when I eat a whole mess of chicken wings, I tend to get sleepy, which allows me to transition very nicely into today's sponsor, which is related to your personal sleep. Sleepwithajw.com. Let's roll the promo. Do you have difficulty sleeping? I do, and it turns out surveys show that at least 164 million Americans report having difficulty falling asleep at least one night a week. And the thing is, it's not like this is no big deal. This is actually a major health problem that is often ignored by Americans. However, there is a solution for you that tens of thousands of Americans have tried. It's actually this wonderful sleep supplement over at sleepwithajw.com. This has 7 different ingredients to help you get a better, more well-rounded night of sleep, and it's 51% off at preparewithajw.com. And for those of you on mobile, click the More section and you will be able to get yourself additional free gifts with this. Go get this before the sale is ending. Trust me, your sleep will thank you.
This went on for about a year and a half. What the school worker allegedly did with a large amount of chicken wings is still unknown, but she's in custody at the Cook County Jail and is accused of placing unauthorized purchases separately from the district's legitimate orders.
Okay, so from the jump, from the headline, before I clicked this video, when it was sent over to me and it popped out in the little thing that happens when I get a text message, I was already in. I was already on board. I was already ready for the chicken wing theft story to be pumped into my veins, but it gets even better in that we have no idea what this woman did with $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. I'm looking at houses in my neighborhood, and a lot of them aren't as expensive in New York City as this woman's chicken wing heist, but I just want to know what went down with the wings, and even the local news can't deliver on that promise of the premise. And the amazing thing about this story, as we progress through it, is that you'll find out that she could have gotten away with it very easily. In fact, the only thing, which was the slightest thing that got her caught, was just happenstance. It was just a coincidence. It was just random. So this woman could have been looting the school system of Cook County for chicken wings for years without anybody detecting it. But again, I'm spoiling a little bit too much. Let me roll into the story because you guys are here for the chicken wing bandit.
66-year-old Vera Liddell is a former Harvey School District 152 employee. She's at the center of a major theft scheme that brewed during the COVID-19 pandemic when students weren't allowed in the classroom.
So this woman committed this mass of theft of chicken wing theft, during the course of time that kids were out of school during the pandemic. So while there are no kids in school, she's spending an extra $1.5 million of the taxpayers' money, and people didn't notice until well after.
Liddell worked for Harvey Schools for more than a decade. She was a food services director, but after her tenure, she was hired as a consultant in July 2020. In that role, she was in charge of placing food orders. Between July 2020 to February 2022, Cook County prosecutors allege she used her position to embezzle $1.5 million from the school district. Court documents accuse Liddell of ordering more than 11,000 cases of chicken wings from the district's food provider, Gordon Food Service, GFS, and picking them up with the district's cargo van.
Again, these numbers are so wild. So she stole 1.5 million, embezzled 1.5 million from her employer, which is the taxpayer, the school district. And this was done in the currency of chicken wings. And she stole about 11,000 cases of these chicken wings, and we still have no idea where these bird arms actually are. Again, this woman was a master criminal. She had a master plan, and she would have gotten caught if not for those meddling kids. And unfortunately, Scooby-Doo isn't about solving a mystery, so maybe some other meddling kids like Nancy Drew or whatever ended up stealing the chicken wings or figuring out she stole the chicken wings. Look at me. I'm misspeaking throughout the course of this video because I'm so excited for this story, and you should be too.
At At this time, it's not clear what Liddell did with them, but a proffer presented at her bond hearing last week says the food was never brought to the school or provided to the students. It goes on to say even though the children were learning remotely, the school district continued to provide meals for the students that their families could pick up.
Okay, so she's stealing all of this while there are no kids in the school. However, the reason it initially didn't set off any red flags was due to the fact that the school actually was still making lunches that parents could pick up during the height of the pandemic, which seems rather odd because we know, based on what we found out later, and by the way, what Sweden, nations like that, did at the time, that the schools should have remained open because they weren't significant vectors of transmission for the virus in the first place, but instead they had the cafeteria staff working, cooking meals, and parents coming in, of course, adults being way more vulnerable to the virus than kids, so this policy was actually less safe. But this is how this woman ended up ordering all this food, supposedly, without being noticed until just recently.
The scheme was uncovered January 2022 by the district's business manager during a mid-year audit. The manager found the district was $3,000 over its budget and were only halfway through the school year.
So that's how she ended up getting caught. In the 2022 new year, so she had been stealing since she had been hired on in 2020, they did a mid-year audit because she spent $3,000 more than the total food budget for the school, and somebody finally noticed. On top of that, they end up looking at the order forms and they end up figuring out that she signed for all of these orders, which is rather odd because the school does not serve chicken wings to the kids because you stupid kids would choke on the bones, and that would be a liability issue for the school district.
Court records revealed the manager discovered individual invoices signed by Liddell for massive quantities of chicken wings, an item never served to students because they contain bones.
But let's think about how stupid this school district actually is. You're in the middle of a pandemic. You have a food budget. Your food budget is being run up like crazy to order a food item from a vendor that never is supposed to give you anything with bones in it, and yet the food item that is being ordered to the tune of $1.5 million is chicken wings. Each and every layer of this ended up falling apart during the course of why this was happening. On top of that, this woman apparently had access to the vehicles in order to go pick up the food, so she's seen multiple times herself, a 66-year-old woman, picking up case after case all the way to the tune of 11,000 cases of chicken wings, and nobody thought that this was a red flag or anything like that. It was only in January 2022 when they realized that they were over their budget by $3,000, their yearly budget halfway through the year, did somebody think, oh, wait a minute, something weird is going on here. Something a little bit odd and off is going on here. So quite literally, each and every single system that supposedly might be in place to oversee how your money's being spent in Cook County fell apart right at the moment that you needed it most, and the chicken wing bandit was able to walk away and basically disappear out of existence. 11,000 cases of chicken wings valued at $1.5 million. Nobody knows the origin point of this. They're indicting her for embezzlement, but they can't figure out where this goes. Was she side hustle selling this to people at restaurants? Like, what the hell was going on? Nobody seems to understand how this is working, but apparently this is just something that you can get away with in Cook County as long as you don't spend slightly over the budget for a year in terms of the food budget at the cafeteria.
Parents say it's upsetting to know someone may have selfishly taken the funds intended to nourish students.
So basically what ended up getting this woman caught was not that she ordered a food that is never ordered from that vendor to the school district because they have a policy against serving bones, was not because of her unauthorized use of these vans in order to pick up the food, was not because of the fact that people were paying attention and thought logically that maybe the cafeteria budget should be reduced when you don't have any kids in the school. It was because she spent slightly over too much. She stole just a little bit too much. Otherwise, she would have gotten away with it and everything would have been perfectly fine.
This is the area that we live in. We live in like, middle class, lower than middle class in this area. So it really don't surprise me that somebody would try to get over. But it's kind of sad.
So I love when the local news interviews people from these communities, and this is no exception. Carita Williams, don't exactly know how that's pronounced. Sounds like they interviewed her early in the morning just after she woke up, and they placed her in a car in order to have this conversation. She seems very lethargic. There's no passion in her voice at all whatsoever. And she's like, yeah, the middle class or lower the middle class. I'm not surprised that somebody would try to get somebody over, but there was no like outrage, great clip, nothing generated about the fact that she stole all this money in terms of chicken wings. But, you know, whatever. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm looking for a fantabulous news story. It's not going to be great in every possible way.
Others claim it's not surprising to know a trusted person in their community would do such thing, but they're hoping the district enforces effective oversight over the financial activities of the district.
I just feel that the people that was watching over that money or whose jobs it was, they need to be looked at because that shouldn't happen.
Seriously, the local news totally failing me right here. You're supposed to get outrageous, angry, upset interviews from parents and people in the community, and all you get are these weird people that barely want to talk on the camera. This guy's not even looking at the camera. I also noticed he didn't give his last name. They just titled him brother of an 8th grader, and he's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. The people who are watching over that money should have watched it over. Like, you're not giving me anything, Jeremiah. Where is your outrage? Where is your indignation? Where is your condemnation for the chicken wing bandit? Again, 11,000 cases of chicken wings, and nobody seems to notice it. Look, if you guys are interested in this case, I will follow this to trial. I will watch the live stream of it. I will analyze the lawyers, the defense, and everything related to it. But overall, the message that I want you to take from this is that this kind of thing is far more common in our education system than you can believe. I've actually seen news stories where people get fired from a school, including famously a teacher of the year out of New Jersey, because when she looked at the books, she noticed that there were salaries for 10 different counselors, even though the school only had 6 or 7 counselors. So there's ghost salaries, there's money being blown in all different ways, and in reality, there is no oversight going on with all this money. And despite what people will tell you in the propaganda-filled left-wing media, the fact is, most of the money in your state government is in your public education system. We spend about, when you add up all the state's education budget, and then when you add in the federal Department of Education's budget, the same amount of money on education in this country as we do on our defense department. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, look at the federal defense budget versus the federal education budget. Remember, this is the #1 line item at each and every state. And whenever there's that much money involved, whenever there's that many layers of bureaucracy, red tape, you're going to find corruption. So this is just one example of it. It's an outrageous example of it. It's a kind of hilarious example of it because the embezzlement took place in terms of chicken wings. But make no mistake about it, if you open the books in any major school district in this country, you would find millions, if not billions of dollars just gone missing. Nobody has any accountability for where it was. And this is one of the reasons why nationwide we're often seeing all these indictments of entire school boards or officials related to handling and administering money in our K-12 education system. This is an absolute den of corruption, and the one mistake that this woman made is that she did her stealing in such a way that was outside of the regular system of corruption just for herself, and of course, she did it in chicken wings, and she stole slightly too much in order to be noticed. Had she not hit over the budget within half the year, this woman would not have gotten caught at all. This woman would have gotten away with it. She would still be stealing your children's meal money through chicken wings to this very day. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social medias, support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about the chicken wing bandit. Till next time.